Hey, Papercut here, doing a replay review of Shiny Gyarados. I think it's a Pokemon reference. He posts on Reddit, says he is just struggling recently, he would love some advice. He likes to play aggro civs, but he also plays other non-aggro civs. He knows himself both falling off in Feudal, and he also knows that he struggles with civs like the Roost. So we want to look at this game and discuss what he could be doing better, what he's doing well. My testing needs to have things like that. Right now I'm actually streaming this replay review live on my coaching Discord. If you're interested in getting coaching, both free and paid, and just taking part in learning and getting some resources, highly suggest you check the description of this video and join my Discord. Talk to me, ask some questions of me and the community. With that, let's go ahead and hop in. So, Mongol against Roost is a weird one. Roost is just an all-around good civ, and Mongol thrives off tower rushing, thrives off getting pressure on the opponent, and Roost is a hard one to tower rush, mostly because their landmark they want to put up, the Kremlin, is very, very defensive. And so Roost players, if they want, can play pretty hyper defensive the early game, and with them being a Night Civ, you can really struggle on that. Where you can pay off, though, is that you can still tower rush them. You won't be able to stop them from aging up, because they're going to get food from the hunts, but you can slow them into Feudal. Like, you want to be able to stop them from making knights, you want to slow them down from their game plan, maybe stop, if they want to go second TC, stop the second TC. So I would suggest your early game plan is still do a tower rush. I would tower rush the closest gold to his base, and you can get that tower up before he ages up. Now, if he ages up with Kremlin, that puts you in a potentially bad position. He could try to rush your tower, things like that. But if you do tower the gold successfully, you could at least force him to either not go Kremlin, or you could tower a stone and stop him from getting a second TC. Really, your game plan, though, as on most maps, is to try to trade. And you want to set up a trade. Against the Knights, though, that's difficult. The other option is you rush Castle. But if you want to be aggressive and feudal against Roost, it's all about the hunts. Knights are very food-heavy and gold-dependent. So if you can cut off golds, there's no Knights. If you can cut off food, he can't do Knights for very long. So your goal is to find out where are all the extra food spots, where are the golds, and try to cut those off, and then either be getting up a trade, or once you've slowed him down, go fast cast yourself, get up the Kurultai, or get up, I forget what the gold landmark is, but you want to fight him then with crossbows and match him at that point. But you have to get there first. So yeah, that's the game plan I'm kind of thinking of. I want to see what you try, and we'll talk about what we see as you go. Good opening. Nice that Uvu is so close. Okay, I'm going to watch your perspective here. Okay. So you mainly notice here's his berries, here's his gold. The tower right here, killer. Because you stop him from getting gold, you stop him from getting berries, and he immediately is going to have to go out to a different... Now, he wouldn't want to go on berries in the first place, but you tower here, and that basically stops the Kremlin from protecting these two sources. Or if he puts the Kremlin here, you've reduced the power of the Kremlin, instead of it being like in the middle of the map, cutting you off. Another thing, doing feudal pressure on him, getting out spears, prevents him from doing a super aggressive Kremlin. He's going to have to drop one that is safe within TC range, or else your spearman will kill his villagers trying to build it. You went 2 scout. Interesting. That's alright, but this scout really needs to kill these deer then. Like, if you're going to go 2 scout, you need to be really killing deer now and trying to cut off these hunts so that he's not... Like, for example, you saw this hunt back here, right? Yeah, you should have killed this hunt immediately with your con. This hunt should died. You drop these sheep back off, and then you're killing this hunt with this one, and you getting 2 hunts is pretty good on this. So you're going straight feudal. See... I just don't agree with that. Because now he's dropping the Kremlin, and imagine, with me here, if you had gone aggressive, you could have dropped a tower here. And he's already making this a pretty unaggressive Kremlin because of its placement. But if you put a tower here, one, he can't get on the gold. If you kept spears in there, two spears or 4 spears, if he tries to burn it down, you just pop him out and kill any villagers that try to do so. Or gremlins that he summons. And it stops him from still using the gold. Even though he's defending it, he can't use it. So that's what the tower really does there. The second thing is, look at where this Kremlin is. He's protecting no food right now. So finding the deer and cutting that off, or boar, like up here with the deer, should be your next mission. If you're not going to be aggressive, getting up to feudal. But here's what's also confusing. Your feudal timing is weird. Why are you gathering wood right now? If you're not going to be aggressive, you need to instantly go up to feudal. Or you need to go into be aggressive and go at him. This is what a big issue I see at this level, which is we're not picking one thing to do. You're trying to do a little bit of everything. You're both getting wood, but also going to feudal, which is delays your feudal, puts you behind. He's going to get a night out before you, and it steamrolls down the line. It's much better for you if you pick a strategy and go with it. If you're going to be Dark Age aggressive, be Dark Age aggressive. If you're going to go to feudal, go straight to feudal. Don't be gathering wood. That's the beauty of the Mongols. You don't have any houses to build. Go straight into feudal. Get the wood as you're aging up to drop what would probably be a stable and go. But instead, you're going to have a really slow feudal. So something I do want to mention, I meant to mention at the start. You talked about how you play a bunch of different civs. And you're feeling like gold players are getting harder. Yeah, most players at gold play one civ. So they're going to play that civ again and again and again and again and again, and they're going to get better at that civ. If you keep switching between civs, you're going to find yourself continuing to struggle. Because you're continuously flipping through each civ and having to know what they're good at, their win conditions, what makes them work on every map against each opponent, and that's a lot to learn, and it will slow you down. Now, if the goal of the game is you like just messing up all the civs, well then, that's just what it is. But if you want to get good at the game, my suggestion to anybody is you pick one civ, maybe two, and just grind those civs until you hit like diamond. Or unless you get bored and want to switch another civ, but just grind one at a time, because that means you're learning that civ and the game at the same time, which are both difficult things to do. If you get really good at a civ, that allows you to learn a lot of other things about other civs as well. Switching all the time just slows your growth, in my opinion. But that's just education. I have an education degree. I am a trained teacher, and trying to learn too much at the same time makes it hard to remember things, makes it hard to really internalize things. That's why you want to focus on one at a time. So you notice how fast he aged up. I want to emphasize this, it's so important. He gets up really fast, he gets on gold, and now this gold's protected. You could still drop a tower here, but it's protected. And you're not even aging up yet. And here's how I know your feudal timing's really bad. You have 80 extra gold. You know you have a perfect feudal timing if you've got 400 food and 200 gold at basically the same time. But since you did wood first, why'd you build another gur? You don't need a gur yet. If you want these up like super improved ones, don't get these yet. You need units. You're not leaning into the strength of the Mongols. The strength of the Mongols is a feudal rush because you can double produce spearmen, so no one can beat you in Dark Age. And your other strength is getting out like knights in feudal, taking space, harassing the map, not preventing your opponent to set up. You've succeeded those things. Since you're not Dark Age rushing, you get up his favorite Kremlin spot, defend his gold and starting food. Since you're not getting to feudal quickly enough, you're not getting out knights and harassing the map. You're just slowing down and letting him do what he wants. So you're setting yourself up for a harder game because of that. That's a sign that you don't know Civ great. Like, people who know Civs very, very well either can get to feudal really fast, or not really well, but pretty well. They can get to feudal fast, or they can do any other strategy and it feels fine. Deer stones, huh? Meta right now is trade because Mongols just need the eco bonus of the trade. Double stable. I'm not a big fan of double stable. One, if you put the gur here, but you're not getting the upgraded eco advantages, you could just not put the gur down. That was a waste of resources because your villagers can just harvest wood right next to the TC. Two, you don't really need to do double stables because you can double produce keshiks the second you age up. And I think honestly you need spears. You probably want to run spear keshik. Spears to his knights, keshiks for his archers. Okay, this is a... So here's what you've done. this is a waste of resources at this point. You only should build the production that you could actually afford to make. Right now, you won't be able to afford making okay, I see what you're doing. So you're going to pro scout all the deer off the map. Okay. Interesting plan. Here's the issue with that. You're late to feudal. This would have been great if you got to feudal very quickly. While you're doing this, he gets free reign to do what he wants. He can get out knights, harass you. He can rush castle. And if you get all the deer, that's great. You can't steal the boar, he can still get the boar. But you're right in the sense that you've taken away a lot of food from him. But I would just rather you have units, honestly. This is going to take you a while. And it's better if you have units harassing him and keeping him in his base, rather than going this pro scout just trying to take all the deer. Because if he gets enough knights out, you won't be able to do it anyway. But now you're in triple stable, and you can't afford to make a bunch of, like, all these units out of one stable. I would have rather this been a stable and a barracks and a blacksmith, and then use the wood, maybe, like, put down your first sheep thing. Like, do them slowly. See, look how long this is taking. You have to ask yourself, do you have the micro to do this? You should already be grabbing deer and bringing them back. And your con needs to be by his base, because you need to see what he's doing. You have no idea what he's doing right now, which is dropping double stable and making knights. You have nothing to defend these knights. And so you have nothing to stop him from killing your gold villagers, harassing anything, really. He has free reign right now. And you never killed these deer over here. So now he got this deer for free. You have to kill the deer. At this point, you're really lucky. He should be in your base right now. Where is he? You're so lucky. A good Roost player is already kicking you off gold. Like, you're not on gold anymore at this point. And there's nothing you can do. Because you've made scouts and keshiks. And so, play the style you can actually afford to do. This is clever in the sense that grabbing his sheep are good, his deer are good. One, you should be grabbing the deer near him. Two, you should already be doing it already. This is taking way too... You haven't even got professional scouts yet. So it's a 9-minute mark, and you haven't done anything at him. You see how this is like, you're setting yourself up for failure here? One, a better Roost player is already harassing you, and you're basically dead. Two, you're not doing any pressure. You're not playing into your civ's advantages. And you're just giving him all the space, because you're doing the strategy. It's just taking way too long. There it is. Once again, you're really lucky. He didn't have to leave. You had no units to stop him. He could have just ran up on you and just... I'm sorry, I just punched my mic. He could have just ran up on you and that's over. You really should not be getting these super upgraded eco upgrades until way later in the game. That's because you only want to get eco upgrades that fit the villager amount that you have. So if you have 10 more villagers on a resource, then you should get the first eco upgrade. But you're wasting your stone, in my opinion. You get these later, when you're deep into Castle or Imperial, and you have a bunch of stone. You should be using the stone on units. He just raided you, and he has 5 knights, and you have nothing to fight him with. And, once again, you're lucky. He should have just ran in and just killed every villager he could find. Instead, he backed up, because he's playing scared. And this isn't enough to kill them. Keshiks are weaker than Knights, Horsemen will do nothing. And this also speaks to a lack of... It doesn't seem like you have a cohesive plan. Like, your plan is to get the deer to stop his hunts, but you didn't do it at his deer. You have 600 food, 400 wood, 200 gold. So are you trying to go castle? Are you making units and fighting? And this just shows a lack of a cohesive plan. Like, a big thing I coach people on in my coaching sessions, you need a plan. Because if you don't have a plan, you're never making moves that make sense. You're just reacting, but not towards a goal. If your goal is to fight in feudal, then you're spending down all your resources. You're making units. That's a goal that you can execute, and if you make a lot of units, you can go fight. If your goal is to go castle, well then you're trying to put up enough units to defend, and then you're getting gold and food, and there's a goal to your gathering of resources. This doesn't feel like you have a goal, besides just pick up the deer. Why is he running, honestly? So it also feels like you don't have like a cycle of macro. I teach the macro cycle to my students. Anyone who has watched my replay reviews has heard this 1,000 times. The macro cycle, right? Like, anytime you're not close to microing something, you should be checking your resources and going, am I making villagers? You are? Great. How are my resources looking? And if you looked at your resources, you'd go, I have 800 wood. And that would trigger something in you. 1, build production. 2, take some villagers off wood. Do you need this much wood? And you rebalance your eco based on your goals, which is why it's really important to have a goal. It's important to have a plan. Without a plan or a goal, you don't know what to spend your resources on. So if your goal is to make units, you would immediately drop production, move some villagers onto food and gold, and then spend your resources. If your goal is to go castle, you'd move some of those wood villagers onto gold, because you have enough wood to make any production that you need. Anyone who's watching this live, feel free to ask questions while I'm doing this. Be happy to answer. Okay, so this is taking a lot of time. And now you're making more units, and now looks like you want to fight feudal, but he already has units. Not only that, he can go castle. And I like to coach towards a larger denominator. Like, let's pretend your opponent was better, was the next skill level up. He would have more units. Like, if I was him, I would have seen you had no units, and I would just mass knights and just gone it. So he could have had way more units. 2, he should have been castle. He wasted wood on making farms, and he could have just gone on deer, boar. And he's randomly gathering stone for like a soft second TC. I don't know. But the point is that your opponent, a better opponent, would just be destroying all your villagers right now, because you just built some units, but way too late, and he should have way more than this. See, look. Here's run away. You have a lot of food. That's good, though. You have a lot of food. Oh, no. The steer need to be right up next to your base. Right up next to your TC. This is very inefficient. Look how much walking your villagers will have to do, especially on these. It's such a waste of time. It's a massive waste of time. We just got him going to the deer, so this worked, but that's a lot of knights. It's a lot of knights. And he's aging up. I need to get a second monitor right now. I'm going to do stuff like this more. Okay, so what's the plan? So now you're fighting feudal, right? But you're making horsemen. Why? If he makes pure knights, he wins. So what's the horseman response to? See what I mean of making decisions without having a reason behind that decision? You're making horsemen, but why? He's not making archers. In fact, he's going to start making spearmen. Or men-at-arms. You start making spearmen, but this is very late at this point. You have 900 wood. Why do you need this wood for? It's okay to move villagers off a resource if you have way too much of it. Because it looks like now you want to fight feudal all of a sudden. So drop the production and do it. You just got the eco. You just stole all his deer. But this is why, once again, the emphasis I'm seeing is this is just a slow strategy. Now he's castle, and you got to go now. So here's a key. If you're massing units and your opponent hits castle, you have to attack. Unless he just won a fight and you're just defending and fighting for your life, basically. But he just went castle. You have units. You have to go right now. Because you've been massing. You've been making units. What does he have? He has 9 knights. You have 10 Keshiks, 9 horsemen. You won't necessarily beat him in a fight, but you could just rush in and try to kill villagers, because you have to do damage. You can't let him go castle without paying a price for going castle while you're making units. And also, this is just a lack of scouting. I haven't seen you scouted his base since the beginning of the game. So you have no idea what he's doing. You're making decisions with basically no information. Go. Gotta go. Where are you going? What? Why? What's up here? So, are you just trying to get the last deer? You don't need your horsemen up here. You need to be attacking. Why, like, so the kind of like way to think about it is, why make units if you're not going to use them? Because you saw he went castle, so if he went castle, he spent all the resources to go to castle. He should have less units than you. You're also using jacked food resources. You have like, these deer are worth so much more food than his farms and berries. And now he's getting deer, but like, he's way late. So you should be confident in the fact that you have more units than him. You have 40. He has 15. So you've given him space and time. If you're going to be the aggressor, the worst thing you can do is give your opponent space and time. Because right now he wants you to not attack him. He needs to spend his resources and get castle units. And you're letting him do that. You've done a great job getting units. Oh, get the spearman up there. Gotta go now. See, why are these over here? Okay, so if you had attacked with all your units at the same time, those spearmen would have done work. But since you were separated, you went up here for a reason I still don't understand. You lost a chunk of your army that should have been the ones killing these knights. And now you're late, because let me guess, he's aged... Oh, wow, these aren't upgraded knights yet? Oh, they are, they are. So now you're facing upgraded knights with no spearmen, and you get rinsed. And this was purely a symptom of a bunch of decisions. A slow feudal, a strategy of scouts that took too long to set up, making units way too late, and then when you actually do have the unit advantage, you're not just attacking when he goes castle. This pro scout strategy is one that I would have liked to see after you got out a couple Keshiks. Like, get a couple Keshiks to pressure, and then go pro scouts and take his deer. Really an interesting move against what he wants. But then you didn't follow up. Like, it felt like your goal was, I'm gonna get the deer and then do something. Well, what's the something? Is there something to push in feudal? Then go now. Also, in instances like this, when you have a shit ton of a resource, drop a market and sell. You had so much wood, you could have sold the wood and then bought the food to age up right now. So if you have this much extra resources, sell it and use it. And that's also why you need to be constantly checking your resources and cycling this so something like this doesn't happen. Because you gotta get the castle right now, and the weakness of Mongol is you can't make walls, so it's not that you can stop him from raiding you. He should just turn around and fight you. I don't know why he's... This guy wussed out a lot. You're dead. I'm honestly surprised you lost 8 more minutes. But you gotta age up. Oh no, you spent down resources. This isn't... You moved your TC? Why? I highly suggest not moving your TC. You lose villagers when you're moving your TC because you're not making... And what are they taking the food to? You just spent down resources which you absolutely could not do because you needed to get the castle. But you... So, like... And this is another thing, you shot yourself in the foot. You took a bad fight after he had time to get castle to age up to get units. And then you took a bad fight, lost units. You had nothing to defend when you went castle. Like, if you weren't going to fight him the second you went castle, you have to use the units to defend so you could get to castle. I can't believe he stood there and just fought your spearman like that. That's crazy. Oh, he went 2 TC. Wow. But you're still feudal. You need to get the castle desperately. And you also, like, so you kind of lost your advantage here. All those deer you got were a great way to springboard yourself into castle because you had all of this food to spend, and then you didn't use it to get to castle. Now you're doing berries, which are very slow food resource. Berries. That's it, you're on berries. You left these deer here. And berries are super slow and inefficient. So now it's going to be even harder for you to get to castle. Now you're just towering everywhere. But he's just going to, yep. And he just built archers. So, notice, he counter-comped you way faster. It took you forever to make spears in response to his knights. And you made horsemen, which countered nothing. He saw you go spearmen and immediately made archers. He counter-comped you, and you never did that to him. Yeah, and that's the way the news goes. All right, so my advice to you. Here's my goals for you that I think will help. 1, pick a civ and really work on it. Learn what makes it strong. What's its power points? When is it most powerful? What strategies work with that civ? And learn it really well. You will get better at the game by focusing on a civ. 2, pick a plan and try to execute it. Because even if it doesn't work, you have something to build off of if a plan doesn't work. So execute. Pick a plan, execute. It felt like you didn't really have a cohesive plan, which is why you're going slowly all the time. 3, lean into your civ's advantages. In this case, your Mongols, a Dark Age Rush would have been huge. Keeping off food would have been huge. You just took too long. And I think you taking too long is a symptom of you not having a plan. And lastly, you got a macro. You got to check your macro cycle and follow up on macro cycles as much as possible. But yeah, hope that was helpful to you. And if you have any feedback, let me know. And good luck on your future games.